We are Pharmacists Out of the Box. We had a little technical difficulty, but we are here together with you. I'm going to have to do the different view. There we go. Okay. So we are obviously at two different locations today, but it has been more than a month since we've had a chance to talk. So we are so glad to be here catching up with each other and sharing with all of you all. So we're going to kind of look back at our year, maybe books and podcasts that have influenced us, and then also where we're going for 2020. So lots of exciting things. How are you, Heather?
I'm good. It's been a good year so far. It's been interesting.
Yes, interesting and really good.
Yeah, but it's quite different from last year because I just think last year, it was February-ish we started recording. Do you remember? Or have we been recording longer than that? I feel like it was February of last year.
Yes. Oh, we might be coming up on our 1 year
anniversary. That's right. We might look at that. But no, so I think this is really neat. And I think this is a good time that we all look back. You know, this is a time of year where we all like, okay, what have we completed and done? And how successful were we last year? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I think Bryn and I really had an interesting year last year. We were growing and building the podcast and wanted to share it because our lives were changing. So we have a lot of books and podcasts and just things that influenced us in life. And we thought, yeah, we should share it with you guys because we have some good stuff that influenced us in really good ways. So
yes.
Tell us about you. What did you do last year? And
okay, are we jumping into books? Because I'm a book.
Whatever. What do you think?
Okay, let's go. Let's do the books because I know you have like all of yours you read. I just have like my last couple. Oh my goodness. So one of them, The Gift of Fear, it's going to be backwards for y'all on TV. I started this book club. My friend at the gym invited me and I was like, oh, sure. I'm not very good at those, but I love to read. So maybe it'll get me back on the reading. This is really interesting because I don't really like to focus on fear. I like to focus on positivity, but it was unusual in that it was encouraging you to listen to your intuition. Your brain is going through life, like analyzing and picking up small clues about everything and judging it without you even knowing you're doing that. And so there were definitely life-threatening situations people were in, and this guy kind of goes through how you can tap into that intuition and how you can put pieces together and evaluate your safety in quick situations. So I really liked it because it just kind of opened my eyes to maybe things I hadn't thought of before. Maybe it made me a little more
paranoid.
Right, a little bit, tad. But at the same time, I think it circled me back around to my intuition. Like, what are you truly feeling in this situation?
Right. What does your gut say? Because your gut, I truly believe like your intuition or your nudges, those are messages from God, whatever. I mean, they have value. So I think people ignore that intuition sometimes. And I really think that
it's a service to you. Yeah, no, I felt like it brought me closer to God just because I was tapping into intuition and prayer more frequently. I started reading the Bible a lot more. Like one of my favorite things is to ask family members, grandparents, like, hey, what's your favorite book and in the Bible? And I think grandma told me Hebrew. So I'm finishing that up now. And so it's just kind of an interesting pivot because I'll also ask them why it means something to them. So I'm just kind of getting to know the family in that way, but also, I don't know, getting inspiration to explore different areas.
And I know some people were talking about, we can blend, maybe talking about going into the new year. I know that's something that as a New Year's resolution, I know some people are like, I'm going to read the Bible more, or I have a tendency to get up and I just I'm reading the Psalms now. So I'll read one whole page of Psalms, whether it's like 2 on that page or 3 or whatever, but I'll read one whole page that wraps around to the next page. And then I have like a devotional I read. But yeah, so I think that's another thing. I think just reading the Bible is something that a lot of us use as a
like grounding
goal. Yeah.
And then I'll let you do a few books and I'll come back to
I'll start because I have a lot, because last year I have to say was a year of reading for me. Like I just absorbed, I was making that career shift and still trying to figure out what I was doing and who I was and what I wanted in life. So I read a lot of books. So nice. I try to put them into some kind of like just grouping. So for you guys, if you're out there and you're thinking about making a career shift or just a life shift, Wayne Dyer, a lot of people kind of know him, but there's an easy to read book called The Shift. And it really talks about taking your life from just ambition and going to like finding more meaning in your life. And so that was like a key awesome book for me to read as I was trying to make that career shift. And then
I love his YouTube videos. If you don't have time to read, just YouTube him.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. He has all kinds of stuff out there. He has a movie or on Netflix. I forget what it was called, but it was kind of really on the same lines. And he's a big part of this book, The Secret. I don't know if you've ever read that, but The Secret, a friend bought me this book. God bless my friends. Veronica, I'm gonna throw her name out there.
Nice. She's
still giving me books I'm reading. So The Secret is more about understanding the law of attraction and just how, you know, if we stay in the mindset of, I don't have enough money, I can't change my job, I can't, you know, I'm the worst mom ever or whatever, then our lives aren't going to move in a positive direction. And this whole book is about the secret of kind of changing your life, because if you change your thoughts patterns, then you can change your life.
Nice.
And this book, I love The Secret because it is like so simple. It has like a page or two that you just can read and put it down and kind of spend some time absorbing that page. You don't have to read 40 pages. This is something you could pick up and read in the morning or read right before you go to bed. And, you know, it takes 5 minutes maybe to read. So these were good in like changing my life, like my pattern, my path, I guess. These were two great books if you're thinking about kind of making a shift to a more positive direction in your life and finding more joy in your life.
Nice.
So I'll just start there. And then I have like 3 other groups.
Okay.
Just to let you know.
So the last one I read, I finished in like a week, and it was this January. It was Where the Crawdad Sing. I forget
I've
the author.
heard of that one. So what was that like?
My goodness. Okay. It's a tearjerker. It is. It's kind of back in the marsh, and you have all this like nature reference in it, but this poor girl is abandoned by her whole family. Like, and it, like her mother, and then eventually like her brothers and sisters, her father, her brother, like it's sad. And so it's about her growing up basically alone in this marsh and kind of being an outcast from the society. And it's just, I don't even know. Like, you just have to journey through it. It's so well written. Like, you can't put it down. But yeah, for me, it did stir up some strong emotions like I thought I had already dealt with. And so it was kind of like one of those like, why it's a novel, it's a story, but it's beautiful when something stirs you so deeply, like you have to like explore it further.
Oh yeah.
I know that's kind of vague, but.
No, because they say that a lot. They say that about like whatever you connect to in somebody, that's kind of saying something about who you are. Like if you connect to a story or you connect to a person, or even when you get upset with a person about how they're being, like, how are they being that is something you recognize that you don't like about yourself? Like, so I think that's true, that just a story like that can get you. That's interesting.
Yeah. Oh no. And we'll touch on it in a different episode. I'd have us here forever, but
yes,
it really led to like a lot of other things changing in my life and opening up. And so, yeah.
Well, and it helps you realize you're not alone. Like I've learned a lot of that from yoga, like hearing other people's stories, because you think everybody has had a path. And I now know that you could sit down with anybody and they could tell you the traumatic, hurtful things that they still hold on to that have happened, or just the things that have happened in their life that they just get stuck in with the emotion and so forth. Everybody's been through something, basically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you think you're the only one who feels that way. And so it is refreshing, not refreshing, I guess that's terrible to say, but it makes you feel not alone when you hear, oh, I'm not the only one who struggles with that. Or like, you know, I wasn't the only one who felt that way, or
to see it in such an extreme light. Like if she's abandoned by all these people, like it's like my life never looked like that, but like to feel like her hurt and to recognize that abandonment type feeling, I was like, like is a crazy good book. So
right. Well, talking about that's a good segue to my next group. So my next group, because you're talking about like recognizing that you feel that same way kind of thing. So I have some for the women in the group. There were 2 books I read this year that just really impacted me from being a woman. Anybody could read these books. They're amazing books, but I think they specifically talk a lot to women. So one is, it's called Girl, Wipe Your Face, Wash Your Face.
Wash Your Face.
And that is by, I don't have the book, but I pulled it up. It's by Rachel Hollis, Girl, Wash Your Face. And that was so well written. Have you read that one?
I started the beginning. It's in my to-do books. Yeah.
It is so fun. It is a fun read as well. The chapters are short, but it's like, she kind of puts she puts you in her role. Like when she says stuff, you're like, yeah, exactly. And she talks about kids and she talks about being a wife and all the crazy stuff that you have to do as a wife. And she just is really raw, but in such a
real,
entertaining and fun way. It's funny.
Oh, nice.
That one is a really good one, just to kind of realize, okay, it's okay to not have, it's okay to have dirty dishes and the clothes not folded and a messy house, and that kind of leads into Daring Greatly by Brene Brown.
Yes.
So I love this book because it was a lot like that too, that, for some reason we have in our minds that we have to be the perfect wife and the perfect work person and the perfect mom. And like, what does that even mean? Like, who says what's perfect? And, she really talks a lot about, it's not the person, this whole Daring Greatly comes from a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, I believe is who made the quote, but it's about going into the arena. It's not the person who goes into the arena and fights and wins. It's the person that goes into the arena, falls down, gets back up again, doesn't give up. And in the end, maybe beat up and bruised and dusty and dirty, but has been there for the ride, has gained from the experience. So Daring Greatly is to dare to go into the arena. But anyway, she talks a lot about, it's okay. Like if your house is a mess, but yet you're spending time with your kids and you're having a wonderful time and they love you and they, you're having a good connection with your kids, then that's okay. You're being a good mom. So anyway, Daring Greatly, an amazing book to make you feel good about, your life and being vulnerable. Nice. And then also The Warrior Goddess Way. This was my lead into the other books. So this book is about kind of moving from doing to just being and starting to recognize who you are inside as a person, and that you're not defined by all the things you do, to kind of find out who you really are, because that's who your authentic self. And so The Warrior Goddess, The Warrior Goddess Way by Heatherash Amara. I'll put all these in the list for you guys below. But that was a good one to just kind of focus on changing your destiny to be the person you're meant to be, not the person wants you to be. So that was a great, awesome book.
Nice. I know, just hearing your books, I'm like, oh man, I left that one upstairs and that one. And we have to do this.
You can talk about them. You can run upstairs.
I can't remember the exact titles. Oh my goodness. But I am reading, I think this is probably in one of your stacks, The Untethered Soul.
Oh, yes.
Michael Singer.
Yep.
So that's the one I'm currently on. Yes, thank you. For some reason, it's easier for me to listen to it. Like I just found it on YouTube and audio versus reading it. And usually I like to read a book. So I don't know. How were you with that book?
So I love The Untethered Soul. It actually was, I just went through the 200-hour yoga training.
Okay.
And it was a requirement that, not that everybody does that in their yoga training, but it actually is so valued that it was required for us to read it in our yoga training, but I had already read it. So for you guys, Mickey Singer, he is just a well-known, I think, spiritual leader, spiritual teacher. And The Untethered Soul is just amazing. I liked it because I related to the voice in your head. I mean, we all know we have that crazy voice in our head that talks continuously, and not only talks, but like judges the world and, is for somebody in 1 minute and against them the next. And it just makes you crazy. So Mickey talks a lot about that, and he lives here in Gainesville and has right. So he lives in our hometown. I didn't even know that. So one of our friends, Claudia Cometa, mentioned all that. But also, just so you know, his book called The Surrender Experience is his other book.
Okay.
I actually read it first, and it talks about his journey, like how he became Mickey Singer from just being like a UF student. So he was a PhD student, I believe. And then he talks about like how he got into meditation, how his life kind of changed, like when he recognized the voice in his head. And then he's a very smart guy. So he talks about, he actually created Med Manager. I don't know if you know Med Manager. It was one of the first softwares for the medical world. When we still had the paper files, Med Manager was the first software that you could put patients' information into software instead of
Oh,
files.
nice.
So it was huge, and it started here in Gainesville too. So he created that.
Wow.
So he's a real smart guy. So those two, I believe that was kind of my next transition, is like, now that I recognized from my previous books that I was more than what I was doing. I was more than how successful I was at everything, that I was, wait a minute, I was somebody that wasn't even attached to those things. I was somebody purer than that. Somebody didn't have to just attach who I was to those things. Then I moved into, okay, well, there's this voice in my head. Is that who I am? And Mickey, he does a great job of saying, no, that's just a voice in your head, and you need to try not to connect with that so much, identify with it,
right,
find out who you truly are, which is a divine spirit, a creation of God, you know. So yeah, I love Mickey Singer. And I think, again, his were easy to read. And I think we all could connect to that voice in our head. So it was very relatable, I think. And just all the things that the voices tell us, like, you know, it makes you crazy. So it's all in there. So you're like, yeah, I hate when that happens.
Nice.
But his other book too is very good. I really liked it, actually, The Surrender Experience.
Yeah, I kind of like getting to know the author. And
yeah, and it's very interesting. It's not that it's, oh, that's just my life story. You know, it's really interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have more books to talk about? Because I'm going to change the view and grab this other book.
Okay. Yes, I will go ahead and go, because I have one more stack. Sweet. So after I, you know, realized, okay, I want to find out who I truly am. And that's where it led me to a lot more readings. Because as I started to learn about Mickey and Wayne Dyer and all these other people and Brene Brown, then you start hearing about, oh, you've got to read this, you've got to read that. So some of the other ones, once you kind of want to really connect with your authentic self, and I think a lot of people who come and talk to me about changing their lives, you know, shifting their lives in some way, you start with saying, okay, well, what is it that you want to do when you change your life? What job do you want? Or what do you want to change in your life? People are like, I don't know. Because I think where we have to start is like, you don't know what you want until you find out first who in the world you are. So, you know, I think that's where I was with this point in my life in the middle of last year, was like, okay, I got to figure out who I am so I can figure out what in the heck I want. So some of the books that, if you get to that point and you're like, okay, I want to dig deeper and find out who in the heck Heather really is, or you really are. There's some awesome books. So some quick, easy reads. I don't know how I heard about this one, but it's called The Alchemist. Have you read The Alchemist? It's by,
I think I've heard of that.
Paulo, Coelho. I have no idea how to pronounce that. But it's called The Alchemist. It's been around a long time because this is the 25th anniversary edition that I got. And it's an easy read, and it really kind of lays out some things about forgiveness, how to find joy in your life, you know, just the stuff that we all really want, how to be happy. So The Alchemist is a story. It's a fictional story, but it's about a young man and his journey. And so the journey, of course, has symbolic kind of information for you as he's trying to figure out what he's trying to do in his life. So that's an awesome book. And after that, when I heard about this one,
that's a good one,
called The Four Agreements. Have you read that?
Yes.
And so that was, of course, again, like making agreements with yourself of how you're going to live, how you're going to think about yourself. Not taking things personally, like just rules for life. This was, again, an easy read. And like, you sit there and go, yeah, of course. But you start to think about it, you're like, I'm not really doing that though. I'm not really finding it easy to forgive or whatever. So
no, that was really practical. I thought it helped a lot.
Yeah. I loved it. I will go back and read that again for sure.
Okay. Yes.
And I'm reading one now that's in that same vein. I think it might be by this. I mean, I don't know how I got those all connected together, but
he's got a second book too that's kind of looks the same, but it's a little different.
And it's not called The Four Agreements, but it's something like that. It's like the 10 whatevers. But anyway, so I'm reading that one. We'll go into that next year when I go through this year's books. But these two books right here are mean so much to me. I will read both of these books over and over again.
Oh my goodness.
So I first read it from Oprah. I heard Eckhart Tolle on Oprah, and I'm like, this guy is so freaking interesting. Yeah. So A New Earth, this guy's amazing. I don't even know.
That's like a new book cover. He had a different book cover in the past, I think.
Oh, did he?
Oh yeah. I've read that one.
Yeah. A New Earth, an incredible book. It's really, on a different level. I think you have to kind of move through these other things to realize that there is this core of something inside of you, and then you can kind of go here. Because I think sometimes if people were to read like Eckhart Tolle, and he even talks about, like, if you give somebody this book and they're like, I can't, if they're just not ready. So if you're ready, this is like when you hit this, your mind is blown. You're like, yes. If the whole world could live like this, it would be amazing.
Oh man.
And then the other one is called The Seed of the Soul by Gary Zukav.
Okay.
This guy also on Oprah. I'm addicted to Oprah. We'll get to podcasts and stuff in a minute. But this again, it even says with a preface written by Oprah and Maya Angelou.
Nice.
Seed of the Soul.
Okay.
Crazy good. Talks about your soul and your being and your divinity and your connection with all, and just stuff again that blows your mind. So those two I will read like probably at least 2 or 3 more times.
Oh, I'm excited.
Deep, good stuff. But that's last year.
I think Amazon's going to get hit up on some books, because I already have like 2 in the cart, and now I've got like a bunch more you just introduced me to. Okay, so this I have not finished. It's huge. This is a Sacred Woman, and I have no idea how I randomly found this on Amazon, but it is talking about like the healing of the womb. And oh my goodness, the type of affirmations they have in here, self-care, just like rituals, coming in touch with like your feminine, your sensuality. Like, it is so cool. Like, it's practical. It's got exercises. It's got healthy like foods. But basically, the whole premise of this book is that there's so much stored in our wombs as women, like not just what happened to us, but like our ancestors, and how that affects our future and our own health. But by healing the womb, you're actually like healing your whole body. And it is awesome. I told Liz about it. So I'm like, you need to buy this now. I texted her like over Christmas. It is really cool. I just am like,
interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't quite, you know how like you get so intrigued in parts of the books, you like skip ahead and you don't read like the beginning. I kind of need to go back and do that, because there's some crazy like different ancient divinity type stuff I don't quite understand in the beginning. But like in general, like you can always tailor it to like whatever beliefs you want to follow, you know, in writing like the affirmations. And I don't know, it's just, it's really good. Like it's going to take me a while to get through it, but it's awesome.
Oh no. And I so like that, because that's in a way why I feel like The Seed of the Soul is an amazing book. But it does do that connection of like karma even, or like you're talking about the ancestors. I think that is a deep concept. I think even Native Americans have a lot of that kind of feel, like, you know, that's kind of like the seed of the soul of like, how can I explain it? Like, you're more than just this one experience. Like, this is not all, that there's all this other stuff that we just don't have the sensory ability to even comprehend, that are part of who we are and what we're experiencing. And whether it's karma, or whether it's ancestor stuff that is,
or whether it's even us. Stuff you've done to yourself. Like, it goes into, you know, like, were you unconscious, and which people did you let, you know, be with you, or in medical procedures, like that can be really traumatizing for the womb and for you, and really like meeting that there and looking at it and taking back like your power in your womb and over your womb and what happens to you. Like, it's really good. I think every woman should read this, even though I'm not done with it yet.
Sounds so interesting.
And then I have some parenting. We'll jump over to parenting.
Yes, let's do it.
No Bad Kids. So Janet Lansbury, I'm a big fan of her podcasts, because they're short little snippets, and it's always like a parent has an issue, and she, you know, has such empathy for the parent and the child and the situation. And she has such a great way of looking at it through a lens of what the child deep down needs, and how you can stand firm and know, I'm not going to let you hit. And, but it's like having this calming, coaching voice. So I love her podcast work. And so I was really excited to get this book for Christmas so I could dig in deeper. And then another one I'm working through is Love and Logic. There's a Jordan Page. She's a YouTuber that has tons of kids. And so she recommends this book, and it's really interesting too. I like that one. So yes.
So what are you saying? Like you're
what am I saying? I have a 4-year-old that melted down yesterday, full on, would not change his pajamas and get in the car, to the point we're both in the car, like threatening to back out. Okay. It was not pretty. I admit it. It was horrible.
I've been there. I think I may have told you. My thing was my daughter's socks, like the stitching of the edge of the top of the sock that's always there at the top of the sock, lose her mind if that was not exactly centered. And you would say, it is centered. It's not. No, it's too far on my toe. We'd be like, 15 minutes late already. It's like, just take them off. Like, I'm leaving without you. I've been there.
So it's hilarious. If you can Facebook it, I don't think it'll show up. But one of my friends posted, this is horrible. It's always funny when it's going on to another parent and child. The kid is literally in his winter jacket on top of the SUV as the dad's like on the passenger side trying to grab him. And oh my goodness, I would totally be that mom recording this like, oh, that dad's about ready to lose it. I'm losing it for him, you know? It made me feel so much better. I was like, could have been worse this morning. Could have been worse.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
God.
Yeah, you're not alone. That's the thing. That's the good thing about Facebook and all these things and the podcast, because you realize, okay, I'm not in this little bubble of like insanity.
Yes. It's great.
So what podcast, speaking of that, what podcast do you listen to?
Okay. So I was listening to Smart Passive Income. I really like that one. The most recent episode was 407, like how to raise a kid entrepreneur. So I'm just always interested in entrepreneurship. And then there's a Simplicity Parenting podcast. One of my friends recommended a sleep series. They have like 5 little 15-minute episodes, and it makes a difference in sleep. And that's another battle area, sleep. So we're going there. Moving away from parenting, I like Minding Wellness. We love Claudia's.
Yep, I love Claudia.
Interesting guests and just perspectives. And I feel like she gets to the point quick, which is nice. Beyond Asana, our friend Liz always has really interesting guests. So I like checking that out. The Lifestylist by Luke Story. I know I'm flying through these fast, guys, but really check them out. That's another thing. So I used to do like an iPod, and I would like download them and organize them and like kind of see which ones were the most recent. I can't do the iPod in my new vehicle. New vehicle is like super electric, and you have to like always have the key with you. And then I can't do my iPod. So yes, my husband gave me a hard time, like move into this century. Like, so now it's on my phone, and I'm getting ideas about how we can maybe title or list like our podcast just based on what I'm trying to be more user friendly. And I don't know. So anyways, Lifestylist, Luke Story, his is really good. And then Move Your DNA by Katie Bowman has always been one of my favorites on like mechanical movement. But I noticed she hasn't really like posted since like 2019. But the amount of backlog and like crazy amount of good episodes, you get so much from them. Like people, if you have not heard of her or explored her, just listen. Like you can kind of target if you have knee pain or if you have certain foot pain, but even just the whole concept of movement and like how she'll store things down below in her kitchen. So you're having that extra squat. She gets rid of furniture in her house. Like it's really cool. I like her stuff.
That's cool. Yeah, mine, I'm very limited. I'm not in the car a lot because I work from home. So I get very limited in my podcasting. So we rely on you. As I've said, Oprah Winfrey, that's my podcasting. Except for the ones you send me. You got to listen to this. And my son. So Oprah, I'll just say, if you guys don't know, she has like Super Soul Sunday recordings, and it's where she interviews people. And there are a lot of these people like Gary Zukav, I always say his last name wrong, Eckhart Tolle. She's really into being in the now, being present. How can you be more present and enjoy your children or enjoy life? And I think she has such a great different perspective with all her guests. The lady, she interviews a lady, she's like an Indian lady. I think she's Indian.
Shefali.
Yes. And she's like talking about kids and like how we should raise our kids. And it's just like a totally spun on its head kind of method. I love her ideas of like how we could be better parents.
Consciousness. Yeah.
Consciousness. Yeah. So I like Oprah just because she's on that kind of wavelength of me, of just being more conscious, being in the now, being more present, like not being distracted so much, but being in the moment and being thankful and connecting with the moment. But anyway, so Oprah, and then Dax Shepard has, I don't know, listen to crazy stuff, but Dax Shepard, my son sent me an episode. Dax Shepard's podcast is called whatever, you can look it up, but Dax is married to Kristen Bell. So he's a comedian. Kristen Bell, she was on Heroes. She's, you know her if you saw her.
Okay.
And he's a comedian and an actor, so you'd recognize him. But he interviews interesting people. I'll just throw that out there because I did listen to one my son gave me recently, but that's my big one. And Claudia's, of course, and Liz's. Go Claudia, go Liz. Yeah, those are mine.
Awesome. Yeah. I know there's someone I thought of when you were talking about that, but yes, I used to be a big Oprah fan, but since we got rid of like cable and stuff and I hardly ever watch TV.
Yeah. I just listen.
Yeah. I'm always forget she's on like YouTube and I'm sure podcasts too. Bruce Lipton is another interesting guy that I like learning from on YouTube or different talks and Gary
Vaynerchuk.
Yeah, you always like him. Yeah.
Like just because if anyone's interested in he is a firecracker and I just love people who think outside the box. So
imagine that.
But he's more on the side of like entrepreneurship and how to be successful and like not being shy. He is not shy. He's like, go for it. Don't hold back. Don't be afraid. Just he's really very energetic and he's been hugely successful as an entrepreneur. So he's really interesting. I like him a lot too.
Very cool.
Just for motivation. He's very big on motivation.
Right.
He uses a lot of strong language and he's kind of abrasive. He's just like in your face, but it's because he's just so energetic. So yeah.
That's awesome. So any sort of goals? I'm usually like a lot more like, oh, it's January. I got my goals usually in December. This year I've just been like, I don't know, just accepting or just trying to stay present, like you're saying, with family and life. And I don't know.
I just feel like, I don't know, like last year I tried to set goals. I was reading all this stuff, trying to like find what direction. I think the whole year I spent like trying to figure out what direction I'm supposed to go in or, God, please, speak to me, like, let me come in contact with the right people or whatever. But yet I didn't feel like it ever happened. Like I kind of kept asking. But then I look back and I realize I made it through the year. I changed careers and we still have our home and we still are eating food and everything is okay. And I met you and we've done these amazing things. And like, I think I had put on myself these high expectations of something huge because that's who Heather is. Like Heather has to like, charge ahead and be the first and be the best. And like, this has to be this big, amazing thing. But yet I had a lot of little amazing things happen. Like I learned how to teach yoga and I learned how to meditate more. And I read a lot more, which is something I've always wanted to do when I was like working so hard. And then we were in the podcast, like I look back and I think I did a lot of little amazing things. And so I think this year I'm just going into the same thing of like, okay, I'm trusting you, God. Like you didn't listen to me last year. Thank goodness, because all these wonderful things happened. So don't let me push you. Like, okay, I'm just going to trust God and keep kind of following my heart and what feels good and where I really think there are angels, there are guides, there are people that come into your lives like you that just kind of help us. And I'm just going to be open, like you said, and just try to connect with those, feel my gut, feel my intuition, and just kind of like say, oh, okay. And start, I don't know. I'm not going to put any expectations on myself. That may sound horrible.
No, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's just so many gifts in life. And almost when you build up this expectation and it's not met, it's like, it's not like I don't know, it just, you don't appreciate the small stuff that does happen or like the people that do come into your life or the small things you do accomplish. So yeah, just, I could resonate with like everything you were saying. It's like,
and like, I may not change the world or, and I think about people like Mickey Singer and like what an impact he's making. He's put himself out there and like, that's what I would love to do. Like, I would love to somehow have some vast knowledge or be the best meditator that I could share that with the world or, be somebody like these people that I read.
But you're you.
But I'm me. You're right. And I'm the best at being me. There's nobody better at being me than me. And I do make a difference.
Yes.
Because I may teach yoga and there may only be, I'm exaggerating, there may only be 5 people in my class. But when 4 of those people come out and they're like, that was exactly what I needed today. Or what you said was speaking exactly to me, then I'm like, I made a difference. And that 4 people or whatever. And that's huge. Like, I can't discredit that. You can't discredit that. So I'm trying to connect with all that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And plus, like, if you think about it, like, not that we lived unconsciously before, but I think both of us are much more aware about what we choose to do in our life, how we choose to show up in life. And we have big goals. We see ourselves doing things to impact and change the world. Like, we believe pharmacists can be better. You don't have to be stressed out. You don't have to be burnt out. You have a gift. You're going to share that gift, and you are going to make a difference in healthcare. And that includes us. Like, that is our passion. Like, we know, a drug's not going to fix everything. It's using our gifts, each individual one of us using our gifts to make that difference in the world. And we just happen to resonate and walk through the pharmacist path to have gotten where we are. But it's every day is a gift. And so, like, this year, I think we both have to realize it takes time. We didn't immediately start pharmacy school and we're like, we're going to be these passionate podcasters and I don't know, or we're going to, live life fully. I mean, it's a learning process. We're all going through it, and we just don't wake up overnight like an author and whatever and change lives. I mean, we just keep, I think, following God, keep tapping into like ourselves, helping ourselves grow, reading books, learning, and changing. And those small changes add up over time. And so I have to remind myself of that because I'm trying to do a lot of healing in my life, just spiritually, emotionally, physically. And that stuff takes time. And it's, I joined a couple different groups to kind of keep me more accountable. I'm like, I've never done a Facebook accountability group, but our friend Michelle did a dry January. And I was like, well, I clearly don't need a drink for my healing. So this is great. I'll hear about other men and women who, in our culture, it's just easy to be like, oh, I had a stressful day. Let's grab some wine. Oh, these kids are driving me nuts. Let's grab a drink. And it's just, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it just helps when, other people are finding other ways to cope with their stressful life, or what other tools or tactics when you can't drink because it's not getting you to your health goal you want. And so,
right. And in a way, why do you feel like you have to drink? I mean, I do the same thing. I tell myself all the time, I have a glass of wine almost every night. It's like, why do I do that? Like, I wish I could just not do that. But then you got to get to why do you need that glass of wine? Why can't you just sit with your kids that are driving you crazy? Like, why do you need a crutch of a glass of wine? So no.
But why do you need it with your friends? Like, these are my friends.
Why can't you just be yourself? Why aren't you enough? Yeah. And I think it takes courage. Like, I think that speaks a lot to courage. And you were talking about being ourselves, like being you, being Bryn and being Heather. And I think that takes courage and vulnerability, because sometimes you think, well, I'm not good enough, or like, I want to be that, but what will people think, or whatever. And like you said, with drinking, it's kind of a social thing too. Yeah. Like, that's what you do. You go out with friends and you have a drink. And what would that be like if everybody's drinking and you're not drinking? And
it's no big deal.
Courageous and No, I'm with you. That's awesome. Well, and to me, the courage thing maybe this year, and you mentioned God, and I know you've been kind of on a journey, kind of growing in your faith. And that's kind of going to be something I'm wrestling with, just being more courageous in that. Maybe next year, I guess that is one thing, because to me, my spirituality is a big part of my meditation and a big part of yoga. And, to me, it's like, okay, but I am teaching yoga in a public arena, or doing a little meditation with a group of people that come from wherever. And like, it's terrible, but you think through of like, I don't want to offend anyone, but why is your faith going to offend somebody? But you know what I mean? Like, to me, being my authentic self, I'm not always being my authentic self when I'm doing those things. And I want to bring my spiritual authenticity to that. And I'm going to work through that this year. Just being true to my faith and true to myself, because that's another, anyway, I just wanted to tag that on there.
Oh no, I love that. Yeah. That's awesome.
But no, I'm so proud of you, because the drinking thing is like, why can't I just not have a glass of wine? Like,
yeah. And it's a nice place too, because people will share their struggles. Like, okay, I had a drink. So what? You know, you jump back on the bandwagon and of not drinking. And so it was just kind of interesting. Like, it's a very real group. And I don't know, I'm appreciative of people sharing their experiences and ideas for, like, I'll have sparkling water, I'll have this, or
because it really isn't good for you. I mean, it really is not.
Yeah.
If your liver didn't have to handle that every day or every other day or whatever, like, it's so much healthier.
I forget whatever, like, genetic thing that popped up, but it was pretty much like, don't drink alcohol, like, ever. I'm like, great. Great. The other group I joined was this Whole30 group, because I've been trying to, like, stick to, it's really more of like a keto plan, but it's like more strict than that. And oh my gosh, is it challenging. It used to kick my butt, but since I've joined this group and, like, people share recipes and ideas and you see other people going through it, even if it's just like 2 minutes, because it's not like I have time to, like, hang out on there, it helps some reason, just knowing you're not, like, alone eating this random food that's supposed to heal you.
But you know what, Bryn? You have had such a year of, like, you're doing so well. Like,
I am. Oh, I'm
you're
so
trying.
Grateful. Yes.
You've gotten your house kind of decluttered. You're trying all the good things. And I think that's the most important. It's just that we're trying to be healthy.
Yes, be better people.
And not beating ourselves up when we have a piece of cake or have that glass of wine and we go, oh, crap, that's not what I wanted to do. We just grow. But you're still trying. Like, I think you're amazing. I think
you're amazing. Goodness. I feel like this is just such a gift. So glad you guys get to listen to us, but
we love you too.
But yes. Yeah. So I'm getting used to this new car, but yeah, it's super fast. I love it, but it is very techy. And one, I don't like change. And two, there's, like, all these screens you got to go into. It's nice and clean because it's just, like, one screen, but you have to, like,
Now, did you have an issue of it turning off? Because I know a friend of ours has, do you want to say what kind it is?
Oh yeah, you can say it. Yeah.
So she has a Tesla, I think. Yeah. And one of my friends, I don't know if he had your same model, but that was something that happened at the very beginning of him. Like, he'd come up to a light and it just shut completely off and the screens went off, like everything went off. And he didn't realize that it would still go because everything just went and shut down.
Oh yeah, it is eerie when you stop. Like, I mean, you don't start anything, you just hop in with your key. It's very bizarre. Like, you don't even have to touch the doors. Like, they just shut for you. Wow. Although my son likes the doors in the back and he'll, like, push his toe on the button and, like, close it.
So see, you're being good to the environment. You're doing all kinds of stuff.
But yeah, I really just like the speed. It's really epic.
The acceleration.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, it takes some getting used to.
Like, so it's going to be, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, you just, like, press the gas and then when you let off, it, like, decelerates itself. And it's just, I hardly ever touch the brake. And it has all these different modes. It's crazy.
Does it recognize, like, cars around you and, like, slow down automatically and stuff?
It can, yeah. It doesn't have the full self-driving, but it has, like, whatever that
lane guide
stuff. I don't know. We're all official, but yeah. I don't even know what that's called. It's, like, better than cruise control. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. But what a good year. It's starting off well. And who knows, like, it'll be really interesting at the beginning of next year to just see. I have no idea what's going to happen this year.
I know. It's so fun.
Yeah, maybe we'll have another one, another episode or something where we talk about the possibilities or something.
Ooh.
Or, like, what you find interesting that you're thinking about this year or something.
Yes, that sounds awesome.
But I think it's going to be a great year. I mean, last year was awesome. We had a great time last year. And we grew. We were like, do we want to keep doing this? And then we're like, we can't not do this.
I know.
So
I know we tried weekly and that was too much. So then the every other week seems to be working for us. And the guests, there's so
we
many
keep
good
getting
ones.
great compliments on LinkedIn. We have a lot of people really thanking us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're getting a lot of good feedback. So looks like we're gonna have to just keep doing this.
I know. I keep getting on my students. I'm like, you need to be on LinkedIn, and then I haven't logged on in a little bit. I'm like,
yeah, when I posted the last episode, we had a lot of good feedback.
nice. She was awesome.
Thank you so much. So thank you guys. Like, thank you guys for listening, because what we do and record won't mean anything unless it helps somebody and somebody pays attention. So thank you guys so much.
Yes. And keep sharing your gifts with everybody and growing your gifts, becoming a better person. And yes.
And just keep trying, just like Bryn and just like all of us trying to read these books and listen to other people. Like, that's the important thing. Just keep leaning forward, keep moving forward, let go of all that crap in the past. Don't let it weigh you down. Like, recognize it and know it's there, but try to not be so attached to the past, and don't worry about the future. Just try to be now and just be thankful for everything that's around you right now.
Yes. So true.
Moment. Yeah.
It's a gift. Okay.
Another year. All right. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We love all of you. Thank you so much. This is Heather.
I'm Bryn.
And we're Pharmacists Out of the Box.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.